Welcome to the End to the Ashes transmission. If you're here, then like us, you're fighting to survive. The world is different now. It is no longer safe in the world. There are things out there, things we thought weren't real. We used to tell children there was nothing to be afraid of in the dark. We were wrong. The world was destroyed, and we're learning about the things emerging from out of the ashes. Join us each week to learn about what's out there. What if the end of the world didn't come from war? What if it came from an experiment? An experiment meant to control the weather. In Out of the Ashes, the world collapses because of a government program built to manipulate atmospheric systems. A machine designed to stop hurricanes, prevent droughts, and control the skies. But here's the part that unsettles people. That idea, it's not entirely fiction. We're going to talk about the real program that inspired it, the conspiracy theories surrounding it, what science actually says, and how that evolved into the catastrophe in my story. Because sometimes, the scariest stories start with something real. The real-world inspiration behind my story is the high-frequency active auroral research program, better known as HAARP. HAARP was established in the 1990s in Alaska. Officially, it was created to study the ionosphere, the layer of Earth's atmosphere that reflects and modifies radio waves. The goal? Improve communications, understand auroras, and better predict disruptions that affect satellites and military systems. That's the official explanation. And scientifically speaking, that explanation is accurate. HAARP transmits high-frequency radio waves upward to temporarily excite a small portion of the ionosphere. It does not and cannot directly create hurricanes, earthquakes, or tornadoes. But that didn't stop speculation. Because when the government builds something that can heat the sky, people start asking questions. Almost immediately after HAARP went operational, theories began spreading. Some claimed it could trigger earthquakes, manipulate hurricanes, control human thoughts, cause droughts, even influence global temperatures. The facility's massive antenna arrays, they were towering metallic structures in remote Alaska, didn't exactly scream harmless research station. To conspiracy communities, it looked like a weather weapon. And historically speaking, weather modification isn't science fiction. In the 1960s and 70s, during the Vietnam War, the United States conducted Operation Popeye, a real cloud seeding program intended to extend the monsoon season over enemy supply routes. The goal was simple: make it rain longer. That's documented history. So when people learn about HAARP decades later, it wasn't a stretch for some to believe the technology had advanced. And that's where my story begins. Let's separate fact from fiction for a moment. Can humans modify weather? Yes, in limited ways. Cloud seeding exists. It involves dispersing substances like silver iodide into clouds to encourage rainfall. But controlling entire storm systems, redirecting hurricanes, engineering droughts, that's far beyond current technological capability. The atmosphere is a chaotic system. Small variables cascade into massive, unpredictable outcomes. Now imagine this. What if a government agency believed they had cracked that code? What if they built something bigger, more powerful? What if instead of studying the ionosphere, they started pushing it harder? In Out of the Ashes, the experiment wasn't meant to destroy the world. It was meant to save it. The goal was to stabilize climate volatility, end superstorms, control wildfire seasons, prevent crop collapse. But when you interfere with complex systems, there are consequences. In my story, the machine destabilizes atmospheric balance. Jet streams shift, temperatures spike, solar radiation behaves unpredictably. The sky literally burns. And civilization collapses under cascading environmental failure, not because of malice, but because of hubris. Here's why this concept resonates. We live in an era of climate anxiety. Governments are researching geoengineering. There are serious scientific proposals involving stratospheric aerosol injection, ocean fertilization, solar radiation management. These are not conspiracy theories. They are active academic discussions. Now, none of them are secret apocalypse machines, but they do raise ethical questions. Who controls the thermostat on the planet? What happens if something goes wrong? Who is accountable? Out of the Ashes explores that exact tension. Not evil governments, but desperate leadership. Not villains, but scientists convinced they were right. And that's what makes it unsettling. Because history shows us that progress often comes before wisdom. In the audio drama, the world after the atmospheric collapse is harsh and fractured. The sky is unstable. Weather patterns are erratic and violent. Communities survive in pockets. Information is fragmented, and the truth about the experiment buried. Some believe it was a weapon. Some believe it was sabotage. Some believe it was divine punishment. Only a handful know what really happened, and even they debate whether it was a mistake or inevitability. The show doesn't just explore survival, it explores responsibility. If we gain the power to control nature, should we? And if we don't, what happens when nature overwhelms us? Science fiction has always been a mirror, not of what is, but of what could be. From nuclear anxiety during the Cold War to AI fears today, speculative fiction lets us explore consequences safely. Out of the Ashes isn't a documentary. It's not a claim. It's a question. What happens when humanity reaches for control over forces it barely understands? And what rises out of the ashes? If you're into atmospheric conspiracy, post-apocalyptic supernatural storytelling, ethical sci-fi, and world-building deep dives, subscribe. Because I'm going to be breaking down the science behind the collapse, the factions in the wasteland, the hidden history of the experiments, and the real-world inspirations behind the series. And if you want to hear the audio drama, the link is below. Tell me in the comments, do you think weather control is possible? And if it was, Would you trust anyone to use it? I'll see you in the next transmission.